got it confusing, so
Let's go, Mr. Andrade.
사시 부기 즉신 메토장 리가 블링신 인데겐바디 상계 신금 익태 우월기 조근 남닥 싱마 주파쇼 이랑 구루 рат나 만달라 감닐야타야미 상예 주랑 소기 적남라 장주 바두 닥미 겹수치 다기 준yen 기페 선남기 졸라 벤실 상계 주파쇼 상예 주랑 소기 적남라 장주 바두 닥미 겹수치 다기 준yen 기페 선남기 졸라 벤실 상예 주파쇼 상예 주랑 소기 적남라 장주 바두 닥미 겹수치 다기 준yen 기페 선남기 졸라 벤실 상예 주파쇼.
Okay, philosophical question. We have to talk about it. So Adam went ahead quite a ways, and he did a pretty good job. But what do we do then? We have three choices. We can start at the end of where he stopped, which means you don't hear the whole text. Or we can go over what he did, which takes a lot of time, because you would watch me fix what he did. Or I could just go quickly through what he did in the Tibetan and not try to fix the English in public. So I don't know what you want to do.
The third sounded like a nice compromise that gives us a quick review of what we've missed.
Is that okay? Okay, to be honest, I do better correcting people's stuff by myself, because I have to hear it in my own ear, and so, okay, let's do that. So I'll go quickly through what he did, but he did a lot and he did a good job, and I salute him, and it may be necessary to do that for us to finish all this. You know, you guys should go ahead and try to do stuff. You know. Then as I go through it quickly in the class, you'll see, maybe you can change stuff if there is stuff to change.
Mm-hmm. That would be useful, I think.
Okay. But I'm not gonna, it would be useful. Then probably we should meet separately and I correct. I could meet in the other coffee shop.
Because I was hoping to hear what you had to say.
Yeah. That's necessary. That's a good idea. There's two ways for me to correct your stuff. One is I just go home and correct it. And then you have to compare the old document to the new document and teach yourself. Mm-hmm. Or I can sit there and do it in front of you, which is very time consuming. So probably it has to be somewhere, both of those somehow, in my free time. I just imagine that we're in a separate coffee shop in a couple of weeks and we're going through what you did slowly, but that'll take a long time, So, but let's go through quickly, and then I'll slow down on the new stuff. Okay. That way you hear everything. This thing is small. Is that in? I can make him bigger, maybe.
Yeah.
300. How's that? Okay. Yeah, okay. Let's consider shija. Shija means what?
Noble things.
Yeah, sometimes it's all knowable things, okay? All knowable things. So we'll have to see which one it is. I think here it's all knowable things, okay? Now, we're going to get to a principle in Buddhist logic that when you have a set that includes changing things and unchanging things, the set is considered
Unchanging.
unchanging. Okay. Now, first time I heard that, I was like, why? It seems to me if there's one changing thing in a set, the whole set should be changing. But apparently the rule is the opposite. And that's called a priori, right? Just because they said so. And I didn't feel comfortable with it. It's a logic term, just because they decided that would be the...
But in this school, anything unchanging is kunzapdemba. So to put an unchanging thing with a changing thing, it would have to be a mental image, an idea.
Maybe. Let's see. So it must be a working thing. Good. Then you just have to learn. This is called what's it called? Yuto but it's just flipping things. And it's for 15-year-old monks to learn to flip things in their mind. Okay, because in this school, how do you perceive things?
As the opposite of all that is not it.
Yeah, you cancel everything that's not it. Okay, so and then he's gonna do multiple flips. Okay, so here we go. Ngobetopitsema, mepa. Okay, there is no correct perception that it's a working thing, right? And there is a correct perception that perceives that. Okay, that there is no such sema. Okay. And there is a perception which perceives that exists. There does exist a perception that there exists a perception that perceives that there is no perception that the thing is a lupa. Okay?
Now I remember.
Gel Kavla Pu. Yeah, I think that's pretty good translation. Okay? Gel Kap means it's the opposite of what you're trying to prove. Okay? So I kick it out. We'll have to think about it. Bu is related to a word for blowing horns. Brr is bu. Okay? And it means bu. Yeah, I reject. Okay. If you disagree, and Adam has filled in the whole thing, which is polite as a translator. You could cheat and just not do this, and then obviously the reader's not gonna bother to do it, and so it's up to you. I think you should do it. Otherwise, the reader's just gonna skip it. They'll just say, I got to get to work. I'm not gonna try to flip these things and figure out where the pancake ended up. Okay, let's consider. And again, I would say plural. I would try to know
all noble things.
Okay, all normal things. Because that's the point. The point is, what's the status of the collection of all noble things? Okay. Yes, it is true that there is a perception, that there is a perception, that there is no perception, that it is a changing thing, a working thing. Okay. When you say it that fast, it's almost understandable. No put my image here because it's not a working thing. What's not a working thing?
Oh no.
Yeah, the universe. So sheja is sometimes a synonym for what in English we call the universe. Okay. But is that true? The universe doesn't work. Planets don't circle.
Not
Stars.
Not true.
The idea of them all together as some mythical singular thing.
Okay, I like that.
That's what I was thinking too.
I like
Just
that.
mine with just noble
Yeah.
thing.
Yin Lao Min Loki Nam Shepa. Opposite of what is and the opposite of what is not. And we reached a separate topic, okay, of the what's this whole genre called?
Dura.
Dura.
Oh.
And what's do is topics.
Mhm.
Okay.
Collective topics.
Ra comes from jar,
Mhm.
G-R-V-A, which means
Fence? Or?
fence. And a monk is called a
Java.
chaba because they stay inside the fence.
Cardone ones?
And a monastery in Tibetan is called
Jotsang.
Cha Tsang. And a tsang means,
A hive.
yeah, good.
Nest.
Like an ant hive or a beehive. It can also mean complete. Tsangadu means it's all here, everything's here. So tsang has two meanings. Okay, I'm trying to find something you don't know. All right, I mean, Mr. Dictionary doesn't know.
I don't know.
Okay, I like that he's trying to do headings here, and I think they break up the text and they make it more interesting for people. I think especially mixed text, which I've been struggling with. Headings would be nice because they kind of give the reader a break, and they're dangerous. Rinpoche didn't like them because they are our composition and they can be wrong. He wanted text just printed straight through with no paragraphs, nothing. He said the author didn't put those paragraphs in there. But anyway. And I've seen Tibetan text printed from computers that were messed up that way. So they did breaks that were wrong. And unfortunately, a few generations from now, people won't understand it wasn't the author. And then you just Mayambale Lopa means what?
Wrong.
Well,
No, pancake.
Oh, flipped
the
over.
opposite of everything
Yeah,
is
the
not.
opposite of everything it's not.
Yeah.
Okay, so just say, learn to say Mayambale Lopa.
Mayambale Lopa.
Mayambale Lopa.
Mayambale Lopa.
Mayambale Lopa. Mayan, like everything that's not the cup, is Mayan. Then Lopa means flip it, and that makes the
The opposite.
cup.
Right, right.
Flip everything that's not the cup, and you get to the cup. Okay, and it's very, very famous. Say Mayambale Lopa. Yeah, in Buddhism. What's the most important example of it?
The image and the mind?
Gotcha.
Yeah, somehow to do with emptiness, because with emptiness you have to learn to cancel things.
Clock?
You have to learn to cancel things. Yeah. You take something which is dependent origination, you take that which not, and you flip it. And that's emptiness. Okay? So that process is important. Okay, so when you flip everything that's not a working thing, you get a working thing. Okay?
Not Sheba.
It must be mind. It must be aware. Okay. So generally, when you translate the word mind or consciousness, you can say consciousness, and you can say the mind. But the point is that your reader has to smell or taste that it means aware. Okay, and that's a different thing. The mind, when you say the mind, it doesn't. It seems like a book or a table. But when you say aware, thinking, knowing, that's the real flavor your reader should get from words like that. They should feel like, is a cup knowing? Can a cup know things? That's the feeling you want a reader to get. That's what a sensitive reader is getting from the word Shepa. So does everything that works? No. So somehow it'd be nice if you could, you can use mind or you can use consciousness, but when you use consciousness, a normal American or a normal English speaker doesn't feel aware, knowing. Okay, so if you can get there, it's more powerful.
Awareness? Is that?
Just
That's
aware.
closer. That's between, I would say. Thinking, knowing. So does everything that works? No. And sometimes you gotta take some risks in translation. Does everything that works? No. Yes or no?
No.
No, like a car works well sometimes.
I noticed you use mental in course 13 for shape off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like that one so much. I would shoot for something that feels like knowing, aware, a verb. My English teacher, God bless her, who's Katrin Mortensen. She said use verbs. Verbs are the most powerful words in the world. Nouns are not as powerful as verbs. And it's harder to use verbs.
That's cool.
Yeah, except for is. Don't use is or was. Because those are boring verbs. Those are worse than nouns. She would just take a red pen and mark out all the ises and wases in an essay. You know? We had to write an essay every single day. And she checked all of them.
Wow.
60 essays every day. Anyway. Okay. Bumba Chichen. Yeah, I like coffee cup. God bless you. Much more powerful.
The original is what?
Pot.
Base.
Pot or base, yeah.
No, tell me what's the original.
A water pitcher used in India for a variety of things like washing your hands or drinking.
Yeah, the idea when someone
Common
asks,
things
when
in
someone
Indian
writes
yeah.
on your website 10,000 books and they say, Mr. Andrade, there was no coffee in India at that time. And they're going to explain to you why you're wrong.
Mhm.
And then you're going to say, what are you going to say? What's your defense?
But Bumba was a
Colloquializing
common.
it.
Yeah, that Boomba was always right there on the table.
Mhm.
So the
Common
Lama
things.
was trying to explain something. They said, well, just take coffee cup. So because there was no plumbing, everyone had to have a water pot in every room. And still, Indian women get this big thing that fits on your head or on your hip, and they go to the well and they get water. And you see village women, 100 women going home with their water pot, because that's the only water. There's no plumbing, there's no faucets, okay? The idea is something that's always right there. And nowadays it's a coffee cup.
So, Kishla, would you then make a footnote the first time you do this?
Yeah.
I would,
Yeah,
just to cover my rear end.
yeah,
And I think it would enlighten the reader. It would make it more interesting for the reader. It's bad when you translate it as vase. Because it does also mean vase, but that wasn't an important part of Indian culture.
Right.
It was that it was a water pot that was in the room at the time. So, yeah, I would make a note, and your client will learn something. That the point is the first thing you can grab as an example in any moment. Take your cell phone. We could have used cell phone, but cell phones might be gone in a generation. I don't know. Paper's almost gone.
but call.
That's going to stay.
I think so. Shipa Mayimba Loba Yimba. Tell or tau? Somebody tell me.
Tau. Down.
Yeah, good. Yimba tau. Yimba tau. Say Yimba tau.
Yimba tau.
Yimba tau.
Yimba tau.
Are you telling me it's sarcastic? Oh yeah. Okay, so I guess a coffee cup is the opposite of everything that's not
Mental
knowing,
knowing.
aware. Okay, got it? Because it is the opposite of everything's not a working thing. Kavake. What's kavake mean?
You just said.
Yeah, you're the one who said that. You're the one who said it's kept. Okay? If something's the opposite of everything that's not a working thing, it's the opposite of everything that's not aware. Which is to say, all working things are awareness. Okay, then take a coffee cup. Yeah, but why you take a coffee cup? Because you said so. So cavalcade is just that argument with your wife. But you said so. Okay, you can practice at home.
Cavalcade, Adam, cavalcade.
No, it has to be said with indignation. You said so. It's not a
Just said
cavalcade. It's a cavalcade. You said so. Not me. I didn't say so. It means I didn't say it. You said it. What's a full verb, Kay?
It's like
No.
your mouth is.
No, what was the full verb?
Hmm?
Kyaba keranki.
Oh, kepa.
What's the verb?
I always thought it was like
It's an abbreviation.
mouth with an agentive.
What's the full verb?
Okay.
Kelam?
Kelen.
Kaylin. Oh, yeah, understand. Yeah.
Kyaba kyuki kelen is the full sentence, which means you took it with your mouth, which is the Tibetan word for you accepted it. That was your position. Okay. Kelen, you took it with your mouth. What common meditation has the word len in it? Yeah, don't. So you can remember the word len.
Take. Yeah.
You took it with your mouth, not me. Okay. Of course, the coffee cup is the opposite of anything that's not a working thing, because it's a working thing. So, by the way, that's not.
Addressing the debate.
It's not a stupid thing to say. It's the point of this whole section. The thing that you want the young student to learn, the young monk to learn, is to flip things. And between 403 and 404, and thank you for numbering them, is the whole point of this whole section of the Dura. Okay, what's that? The opposite of everything a thing is not is what it is. So it seems like it's just a simple statement, but it's not. Between 403 and 404 is the whole point of this whole section. You know, learn to flip things. Learn to flip everything a thing is not. Okay, so that's the crux of the whole thing, and it can go by really fast, you know, and you think, oh, okay, but that's the whole point, okay? And that relates in this school to Rangten and Chiten. Anybody want to take a shot?
Our system.
Your
and their
position
system.
in
No,
Thought of
10.
object and the
Oh.
object it refers to.
definition?
Say again?
The thought of object
Yeah,
and the
good.
object that refers to.
The archetype and the manifestation of the archetype. Akar and kar.
Right.
Okay? Rangten is
Car.
kar.
Okay.
Sorry, Chiten is kar.
Right.
Right.
It's a
Uh,
three, right?
And Rangten
Yeah.
is the manifestation of kar.
Definition.
And it's extremely important in the study of emptiness. We had it at Dr. Wu's house the other day. The idea car in your mind, and then a real car. And then at some point, at some point in your understanding of emptiness, you might come to the conclusion that they are the same thing.
Is it a wrong sense because in this school it has some self?
Well, the full form is Rangitsenyi.
Oh, yeah, a definition.
Definition of its
Yeah, 'cause
own
that's
has a
the
definition of its
But
own.
in this school, in the logic school, the distinction between an archetype and the expression of that archetype. So archetype is a cup in the mind. Jungian archetype,
Yeah.
Carl Jung. And then a manifestation is the thing in the real world. Okay, and in this school, which one is Mupo Mayamale Lopa? You see?
The thing in your mind is the
Love
opposite.
that.
Yeah,
It's
good.
not.
Yeah,
Uh,
Chiten. And is it changing or unchanging?
Unchanging.
Yeah, so a coffee cup, when you flip everything that's not a coffee cup, do you get a coffee cup?
Yes.
No.
You get a generic.
No.
You get
I
the
do
idea.
Yeah,
of
good.
coffee
You
cup.
get you do get a coffee cup, but it's the archetypal cup.
Right. It's
Now it's an unchanging thing. Okay, so that's where we're trying to go also. The archetype is an unchanging thing in this school,
Yeah.
and the actual thing is changing. The cup is changing.
so.
But when you flip the opposite of the cup, it becomes an unchanging thing.
Which is just an idea.
Wrong.
Chiten.
Wrong.
Oh.
Yeah, it becomes a chiten. It was a wrong sen before you flipped it. After you flipped it, it became a chiten. I'm saying, let's see where they go.
Chitsen is the same as Dunchi?
Exactly.
Mhm.
I will kiss you, but you're too far away. Okay. Now you just earned that chair just now. Okay. Okay. If you don't agree, take the coffee cup. 406. It is a working thing. Why? What happens between 406 and 407?
What is defining a working thing?
Yeah, we defined Whipple. We defined Whipple. Okay. By the way, I'll tell you some bad news. The word for Whipple in Sanskrit is what?
The same word as Sheja.
It's Baba,
Papa. Yeah.
which is also the same word for Sheja.
Mhm.
Everything.
Yeah.
The word for working thing in Sanskrit is the same as the word for.
For noble
Everything.
thing.
So it's a mess.
Yeah.
It's a mess. Okay. Sheja, all knowable things, is Baba. And working thing is Baba. So you get terrible problems when you're translating Sanskrit. Are they talking about a working thing, or are they talking about
Noble.
all things?
Or all existing.
And it gets worse when you make it the opposite. Mume. Okay?
Yeah.
Because mume can mean abava, can mean non-existing thing, or it can mean a thing which doesn't function, but which exists. Okay? So when you're translating
It's all contextual.
Sanskrit, it's all contextual, and it's a bitch.
But you can go to
There are places where it just you can't figure it out.
The Tibetan
Can't you go to the Tibetan and figure it out that way?
No, because mume is the same either case.
Yeah, Mummy was giving me problems.
Mume is the translation for both.
Oh,
Yeah. The opposite, mume.
right. The opposite of Ngopo.
Yeah. So ngopo mepa can mean non-existing, or it can mean a thing which is not a functioning thing. Okay,
Oh.
and it's terrible. It'll pull your hair out.
So we're in the same
You will
situation
suffer.
translating from Tibetan.
We
Yeah.
don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ran into it last year.
I'll give you a small clue. They'll often say mun num
All
for the
existing.
existing,
Yeah.
rather than ngopo num. But in general, you're in trouble. You have to figure it out. Okay, so the discussion that we just had was, in Tibetan and Sanskrit, it's the same word for working thing and all things, unfortunately. And you have to tell from the context. Okay? And sometimes you can't. And you have to make a decision. Okay? As a translator, you have to make a decision. And unfortunately, sometimes they want it to be ambiguous. Then you're really in trouble.
Like in a debate, like
Yeah, because you have to choose an English word, but either one is not going to cover the whole thing.
We do that with thing a little in English, right?
Yeah, we do it with thing. Yeah.
Thing. Oh, yeah.
Like,
When
oh,
you
that's
say
not a
that's
thing,
not a
it's just
thing.
an idea.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah, that's not a thing. That could mean like
Yeah.
Yeah, thing can
Yeah.
mean a lot of things.
Yeah.
Now it's just got a meaning.
yeah, that's not a thing. Is that a thing?
Okay, Mupo in Batam. There's a nipple in between. So between 406 and 407, you got the definition of a mupo. Functioning thing. It does something.
Should things like that.
Yeah, I like the way you translated it. It looks like I'm not going to have a lot to do on this one.
Alas.
I love ripping up translations. Makyana Kyaba Yabatal. Good, he put in the Kyaba for you. He said, just because it performs a function doesn't mean it's a working thing. And then we said, which is missing here, you should say, Kyaba Yabatal. It does mean that. It does mean that. Okay, so you have to add that to 406, 408. Kyaba Yabatal. So you just covered the Makyab now. And then we said, Kyaba Yabatal, if something is a
Functioning thing.
a working thing, it does too
Perform
for a function, always. Why?
Because that's the
Don't you never
definition.
look at any, because the definition of a working thing is something that does something. Okay. Tsarduna. Okay.
Okay.
I'm not going to go look it up. I'm trusting that you looked it up.
Mhm.
So Tsarduna means if you agree with the ridiculous thing that I said in the beginning. Okay. Tsara means root. Mula. Which is the root of all evil. That's how you can remember it, okay? That's Sanskrit. Tsarduna. if you accept the ridiculous telnger, what's telnger?
Consequence.
Prasangika. What's it mean though?
Consequence.
So I guess.
Absurd.
The implication
Yeah,
is the negative.
it's the ridiculous implication of what you said.
Yeah.
You know, we should go to the Japanese restaurant tonight because I like Japanese. Then the husband says, "Oh, because you like something, we should go."
Right.
That's a prasangika. I'm just teaching you how to argue from many years of,
We started winning.
something that you learn in life. Okay. Okay. Shepa mayambale lopa mayamba. Tell or tell? Do we accept it or not? When you accept it, you go up. When you don't accept it, you go down.
Not the, this is down then, it's sarcastic. It's not the opposite. It looks like he's being sarcastic, right? So it's not
Yeah,
the opposite of everything.
Stanley's right. Okay. I mean, everyone has a 50% chance. We're lucky there's not 3 meanings. Yeah, go up. Go up. Yeah. No, it's not the opposite of everything that's not the mind. Okay, that's not knowing. No, it's not. Because Shepa Yimbale Lopa. It's not Shepa Mayimbale Lopa. Okay, so I got you to say that word. Mayimbale Lopa, Mayimbale Lopa, Mayimbale Lopa. Okay. Very, very common. Very, very common. Now we switch the min to yin.
Right, right.
No, it's not Mayimbale Lopa. It's
Yimbale.
Yimbale Lopa. Okay, which means it's the opposite of everything which is knowing. It's the opposite of everything which is aware. Actually, it's a case of something which is the opposite of aware.
Right.
It's not everything which is the opposite of aware. Okay. So somehow you got to be careful here. It's a case of the opposite of everything which is mental. See what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's not everything which is the opposite of mental. Got it? Yeah. So be careful there. You have to evaluate in your translation whether it's everything that's not mental,
Right.
or it's a thing which is not mental.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Just
Okay.
the opposite of that, which is mental.
Madrumna bimbache. Okay. If you don't agree that it's the opposite of mental, okay. If you don't agree that it's the opposite of mental, let's take a bumba. Let's take a coffee cup. Shepe yimbale lo by yimba.
It is the
50%
opposite.
chance. How? Of course it is the opposite of knowing because it's not knowing. Okay.
Back to this.
It's not aware. Okay, the coffee cup is not aware.
Mm.
Shiva my nature. I disagree that it's not aware.
Oh,
Thought Madhu.
that's going to be interesting.
Then Madhuna? Okay. Then he's gonna say something like, "Oh, was your coffee cup angry this morning?" Okay. He's gonna say some sarcastic thing. Bumba Chechen. Let's take Bumba. Shepa Mayimbata. No, it's not Shepa. Because it's Bemba.
Bemba.
And between 417 and 418, you deny science.
Oh, yeah. Because
Oh,
physical
yeah.
matter can't be aware, is what they're saying.
Yeah. Okay, got it? Bembo means matter.
Particulate.
Yeah, stuff.
Stuff.
Physical stuff. Okay? And in Buddhism, it's enough to say, it doesn't know, it's stuff. Okay? But in science and in psychology, the brain thinks, right? The brain is aware, you know. So, in the brain you go, I think so. And you don't say, I think so. You know. That in itself is, I think so. Yeah, where's your mind? You know, so, we tend to go like, I think so. And a Buddhist would say, I think so, heart chakra. But if they've studied Dura, they could say, I think so. I think so. Men think with other parts. Okay, shape of my
That's what you mean.
Now, he comes back with Makyok. Tell me what it means.
It's not necessarily the case.
Yeah, and by the way, if you feel lost right now, in the monastery, once a week, you are required, if you're a sophomore, you're required to go to a senior class teaching. You're required to go sit for an hour or 2 hours in a class where you have no idea what they're saying at all. Or you're required to sit with that debating group. Okay, so like a 15-year-old is required to sit with the 20-year-olds. They're debating Abhidharma. He never heard a single word of Abhidharma. They're in the 6th chapter. You know, they've been doing it for a year and a half. And you just sit there and you have no idea a single thing that they're saying. And it's an exercise that you are required to do in the monastery because you absorb 6th-year stuff. And then when you get there, you already have seeds in your mind. You see what I mean? So they teach you to relax in a class when you don't know what the hell's going on. You know? And they just teach you, just open up like a sponge, you know? Be a flower. You know, let the bee come. You know? And don't stress. Don't sit there and say, I don't understand. It's really bad, what do you call it? It's considered impolite to say, I don't know what the hell's going on in this class. They say, well, just open up. You know, just open yourself and absorb as much as you can. And then 2 years later, it's going to help you, you see. So just flower up. Flower up? Okay. No, don't get, there's this American thing, especially in America, and I had it very strong. I need to understand what the hell they're saying.
Sure.
Or I feel extremely uncomfortable. I feel like I'm going to flunk the quiz tomorrow. You know? And I'm like, no, I'm going to flunk the quiz. Gushy Michael can't flunk a quiz. You know? And in the monastery, it's a whole different attitude. It's just like, let go, man. Surrender. Just be in the class, you know? Absorb as much as you can. But listen. Don't space out. Like listen, you know? And know how to say what you don't understand. Okay? That's a difference. You don't space out. Because then you don't really absorb so much. You're struggling. And you're like, well, what do you say? What do you say? And the first 3 years I was in the debate ground, I'm like, I don't know what, you know, what language you talking? You know, and they said, just calm down, you know, sit here. Try to catch one word, you know. And okay, that's an education system. Shepa mayin batao bambo yimbe cher. Kyab ma kyab. Just because it's
Matter. Doesn't mean it's
physical matter doesn't mean it's not
Aware.
aware. Nice. Nice. Shepa, we say yes, it does mean because there's no shitun.
There's not one thing which is both at the same time.
Oh, kissy, but she's here. Shitun, but maybe there's no one thing which is both. Okay, shitun. Learn the word. Learn the word. Important logic word. Okay. There's no one object in the universe which is both. That's a way to say those two qualities are.
Mutually exclusive.
Yeah, nice, good. There's no one thing which can be Gembo and Shepa. What's that?
Physical matter and aware.
Good. Nice. Ooh. Nice. I like how you said it. You see how powerful it is?
Aware.
Yeah. Atoms cannot know. That's the Buddhist position. Not Adam.
I don't know.
Atoms cannot know. That's the Buddhist position.
Yeah.
And nothing you ever do forever in the all future time, atoms will never know. And that's why there's past lives. And we'll get there. Okay, here we go. Kachignare. You want to read that?
We're at 421.
421. See how useful it is to have numbers?
Yeah. Kachignare. Sub mayimba le lokpa yina. Pumpa mayimba le lokpa yimba kyap serna.
Ooh.
Dude, come on.
I gotta criticize something. Let me see.
Serna.
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 Serna. Serna.
Serna.
Good. Serna. Good. Because ser means what? Ser means golden.
Oh yeah.
Ser means if you claim. Okay. Ser. What's he saying? Well, yeah. Something's must be yeah, nice. Okay. He's flipped he flipped both things equally. So if something is physical, is it always a coffee cup?
No, there's something's not.
And this is why I used physical for suk instead of
Yeah, nice.
matter.
Yeah, great.
For
No,
bimbo.
you're supposed to. I was going to criticize it, but you already did the right thing. I could criticize something else.
Please.
Repeat what you just said for the benefit of the audience.
Oh, that I used physical for suk.
The word here was
Physical
soup,
things.
not bimbo.
Right.
He
Yeah.
didn't say bumble.
Uh-huh.
Now that's gonna. What do you call it in logic? That's gonna.
Bite you in the ass
Pigeonhole.
later.
That's
Because there's
gonna.
no sound.
How do you say draw a question? There's a word in English.
Oh,
Beg the question?
Yeah, that's gonna beg a question. That's an English idiom. Usually, beg means to ask for money,
Yeah.
but it's a rare English expression we say. That's going to invite a question. That we say beg a question. What's the question?
Is bempo and soup the
Nice.
same thing?
Nice.
Yeah.
You know, are they yin cap nyam?
Mm-hmm.
Are there two sets?
Equal meanings.
Is there
Equal
anything
sets.
in the universe
Yeah.
which is one but not the other?
Right.
Suk and pembo. Suk means physical. Pembo means particulate matter,
Particulate matter.
made of atoms.
Go to the reverse.
Okay,
Well,
stuff
yes.
made of atoms. And there is something. Does anybody want to take a shot?
Light.
No, that's in Buddhism. That's made of atoms.
A Buddha.
hmm
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
The physical form of a Buddha
Mm-hmm.
in their paradise
Is
is not bimbo, according to Buddhism.
It's physical matter.
It's a rainbow body.
That's what he's saying.
Okay,
Other prana.
it's not made of atoms,
Dude.
but it's physical.
Whoa.
Okay. I mean, I'm not going there, but I'm just telling
is
you.
that from the Abhidharma Kosha?
I think it's a generally even Majjhimaka, I think.
The Nirmanakaya is, but the Sambhogakaya isn't.
Well, that's another question.
That's how it sounds Abhidharma.
But anyway, if you want to explore the difference between Bembo and Sug, the place to explore is the physicality of a Buddha. You know, is it made of atoms or not? Okay. And I believe definitely the one in paradise is not. I'm guessing the Nirmanakaya is also not. But I'm not totally sure. But you guys can look it up. Also has a burning question. It better be good or you're going to lose this chair.
In the Madhyamika Prasangika school, do you actually say that things are made of atoms? Like it's
Yeah, you can, but they are coming from you.
okay.
Okay?
But
That's
it's
a
not the
different.
thing that you were saying yes.
Yeah, if you break it up, you'll find little things.
Mhm.
But if you break them up, you'll realize they're coming from you. Okay. All right, here we go. So all matter, all physical things are coffee cups. Then what's the counter example?
Sound.
422.
Right.
Yeah, consider the sound of Jimi Hendrix. We gotta practice some music for Thanksgiving, okay? I'm just telling you. I mean, we gotta get the instruments here and all that. And
do you
in
have
our free
drums,
time.
Adam?
I could go back and get them on the days off.
We could borrow Michael's.
No, we'll find
We
a
could
better
borrow
option.
Michael's.
Yeah.
We'll borrow Michael's.
Yeah.
Okay, Bumba my online local email in town. Are you telling me it's the opposite of everything that's not a coffee cup? What was the counter example?
Sounds.
Jimi Hendrix?
Drop.
Sub my email local email because it is the opposite of everything that's not physical. Sound is physical, right? Especially, I went to a Jimi Hendrix concert in a stadium,
Wow.
in a racetrack, and
Cool.
RFD.
and I used to play that music, and me and my two bandmates, we had to go to the opposite side of the football field. We could not stand there. It was physical.
Yeah, you can feel it.
Okay, I'm just proving sound is physical. Kamake, you said, okay, you said everything that was physical had to be a coffee cup. Kamake. Okay, that's that thing you said to your wife. You said so, honey, not me. Okay, now you said so. Okay, you said there should be some indignation in Kamake. Hey, you said so, not me. It's not me. You gotta do your shoulder thing. You said so. Okay, Maduna, I disagree that it's physical. Okay, sound is not physical.
Yeah.
Okay, well then let's take sound. It is the opposite of all that's not physical. Which means it's physical, right? Because it's physical. Right? It is the opposite of all that's not physical. Because it's physical. Okay? I disagree. Oh, well, Dachichin, Suki and Bar.
Tell.
Yeah. It's good to sneeze at this point. Because you go up. Suki and Bata. Okay? Because it sounds. That wasn't a very good proof. Now listen. Dachichin, Suki and Bata, dying bitch.
Illegal reason.
It's illegal.
Unless you spell
It's not legal. You know, you can't tell your wife, we should go to the restaurant because I want to go to the restaurant. You know, because I want to go. Because it's a
Because we
restaurant.
should go.
Take the Japanese restaurant. We should go there because it's a Japanese restaurant.
Right.
Now, if you change the intonation of your voice, it's legal.
That must be
sarcastic.
Okay, because it's not the same thing anymore.
Yeah.
Take the Japanese restaurant. We should go there tonight because it's the Japanese restaurant. Now that's a different thing. Okay, so there's an argument about if you change the intonation, is it legal? But technically, it's not legal to say the same thing in the reason that you use in the subject. Take the Japanese restaurant. We should go there tonight because it's a Japanese restaurant. If you say it that way, you're illegal. There's an argument if you change the intonation drastically, you're actually saying something else. Like, it's the one I like. Okay, diameter. If you agree that sound is the opposite of everything that's not a coffee cup.
Physical.
Nope. Well, I'm just peeking ahead, so I always have it right. That's one method.
So you're,
okay.
you're saying instead of physical, it should be coffee cup there?
Well, no, it says coffee cup. The next line says.
Right.
No, it's not the opposite of all that's not a coffee cup. Because it's the opposite of all that yimba. Yimba le lopa. It's not mimba le lopa, it's yimba le lopa. Okay, what's that mean?
Everything that is a coffee.
Yeah, it's the opposite of what is a coffee cup. Okay, sound. Jimi Hendrix song. Okay, it's not bumba mayimba le lopa, it's bumba yimba le lopa.
That's interesting.
It's the opposite of what is a coffee cup. Okay, it's not the opposite of what's not a coffee cup. You okay? Why are you doing that?
It's especially because it makes sense to say like that a coffee cup is the opposite of everything that's not a coffee cup. That makes sense. But then to say that just sound is the opposite of a coffee cup.
Well, yeah, you have to say one thing which is the opposite of coffee.
It's one thing.
Yeah, that's what we were discussing about the translation.
That's why I was making that face.
Yeah, you kind of have to add an example of because it's not everything that's not a coffee cup.
And it's kind of like, it's
Because there's
opposed
also
to
smell.
being a coffee cup.
It's something that's not a coffee cup.
Something.
Yeah, it's a
opposed
thing
to
which
being
is
a
not a
Yeah,
coffee
or
cup.
opposed.
Yeah. So that's something you got to fix in your translation. And if you start fixing stuff like that, it saves me time later.
Okay.
And I really salute you that you had the initiative to keep going. And it was either foolish or great.
Sounds great.
I'm saying it's great. It's like suicide. It is still the opposite of a coffee cup because it's not a coffee cup. Okay. All right? I disagree that it's not a coffee cup. Dr. Chen, no, it's not a coffee cup because it's sound. Okay. It's sound. If you change that. Okay. Just because it's sound doesn't mean it's not a coffee cup. Then we say, yes, it does mean that because there's no
One thing.
shitun. One thing which can be both. There's nothing which is sound and a coffee cup. There's no one thing which is both sound and a coffee cup. So we're learning in advance a little bit from a section that's going to come later called Gelmgel.
Connections and
Disconnections. Connections and disconnections, which is a big subject. Yeah. Contradictions. Contradiction and relation. I would try. Yeah, that's cool. Contradiction and relation. It sounds like a band. So that's a subject that's coming later. Okay. The study of contradiction and relation. Okay, which is important for. You can sense how this is called the door to emptiness. This Dura is called the door to emptiness.
Yeah.
They say if you really want to understand emptiness, you go to Dura first, which is kind of counterintuitive because it's second school. You know, you would think it's kind of far away from emptiness, but they say the great Madhyamika people were great logicians. Keduje was certainly, Gyaltsabje was. Okay, it just seems to be a habit that great emptiness thinkers are also great logicians. It seems to be a connection. Okay, Dada Bhuvaneshitime. Shenyang Senden. Kiti, what's Senden?
sandalwood.
Yeah, it's probably, remember that in Sanskrit, the palatal row, cha-cha-ja, is a dental almost. Sa-sa-sa. Okay. So it's the proper pronunciation of king.
Raja.
I think it's on my mind because Sugan gave me Maharaja coffee, which I pulled it out this morning and then I realized it was beans and then I had to work his machine and I was like, I'm just going to do it now. So Raja. Okay, and so the Tibetans, when they went to West Bengal and they heard Sanskrit, they came home and used Z and not Ja. Okay, you will not find a ja sound in Tibet used for Sanskrit. Okay, they used za, vajra. And then people criticize them and say, you're not pronouncing it correctly. But my Sanskrit professor, who was the student of Edgerton, who was the student of Dwight Whitney, who was the greatest Sanskritist ever, said, when he found out the Tibetan used za, he was so happy. He took me in his office and he made me tell me the whole thing. And he was like, God damn, this proves what Whitney said, you know. And so it is Raja, and it is Senden for
sandalwood.
Chandan.
Chanda.
We would say nowadays Chandan. Okay. Chanda. Sandalwood. Okay. But in Tibetan, Senden.
What's your Sanskrit teacher's name?
Samuel Atkins.
Yeah,
A great Greek scholar, a great Latin scholar, a great Tocharian scholar. And when he got to the nursing home, he would ask for coffee in 3 ancient languages. And they were like, what? They called me and they said, this guy, we don't understand what he's saying because he's mixing up all these languages. Anyway, Senden Kichichi-chin. He helped break the Japanese code in World War II.
Wow.
Yeah, he was one of the main guys,
Wow.
which won the war partly in the Pacific, because they refused to change it because they thought nobody could ever break it, and that's how they killed Yamamoto, who did Pearl Harbor, because they intercepted the transmission and they shot his plane down. Because the Japanese refused to change it. So anyway, that's a long story.
Wow.
And he told me 40 years later, he said, I'll tell you a secret. I said, what? He said, I'm not supposed to tell anybody. I said, maybe it's okay now. He said, I broke the Japanese code. I'm like, yeah, okay. Anyway, Senden Kichichi-chin. Consider the smell of sandalwood. Tell? Nice. Oh. He got so many right today. He must have had some boompa drink. Or no sleep, which is probably what did it. Okay, Sumayama Loba Image here, because it's the opposite of all this not physical.
Gosh, a lot of time is up.
Oh, man, we just started.
We gotta fit in 3 classes in these 3 hours.
Okay. Kabake, you said... let's stop there because I don't remember what he said. Okay, we're gonna make $3 signs, which is how I I mark it for myself. But I think I should give it out of my hand. Just kicking butt on this translation.
Right. Not just any old butt, our butts.
Yeah, pressure on the other people. His book, by the way, is going to be the longest. Why?
4 volumes? Or
Yeah, 3 or 4 volumes.
Because, well, it's got a lot of white space too.
Yeah, there's a lot of white
Lot.
space. Because every paragraph is one sentence.
Also, he's filling in all this implied stuff.
It really helps with the sponsors. And thank you. Because I give the sponsor this big thing, and they're like, wow.
Work hard.
It's all Adam's text.
Dedicated.
Okay, PP break, especially for.
Dedicate or?
Oh, sorry.
Did we know? Sashi Puki Jushin Betov Jam Rira Lingshin Yende Gyambadi Sanye Shingdu Mite Uardi Roku Namda Shingla Juparsho Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kamniya Tayami Gewa Di Gewo Kun Sunam Yeshe Sof Sof Shing Sunam Yeshe Lejun We Dampa Kunyi Toparsho